cars. Look at that picture. So many cars. One car park, right?
Have you been to the marina on a weekday?
I'm almost certain that's the marina.
Okay.
But I'm not sure it's as many as the cars we saw at one of those parking lots where the presidential candidate, who was never a presidential candidate, had a lot of cars.
Oh, okay, yeah, that one.
Yes, I'm not sure. Anyway.
I didn't say anything.
Did I say anything?
It's a new month. It's a new day. And there's a new levy. From this month, July, starting today.
It could have been nicer. It's a new levy. Like saying this new month brought a new levy.
Yes, this new month brought a new levy. That's the fact.
Christ.
As I was saying, the Lagos State will commence the collection of the fee for Proof of Ownership Certificate, POC, verification, as approved by the Joint Tax Board, JTB, and the fee is 1,000 naira.
Please put only.
Of course, I said to myself, when I bought the car and I registered it, they gave me some documents with my names and my chassis number and everything.
And the particular one that is titled Proof of Ownership Certificate.
So how come we suddenly don't know who the owner of the car is, and we need to go pay 1,000 naira to get another document to prove that I'm the owner of this same vehicle, which I've been driving for more than 10 years, which has my name on it, and I renew my road tax every year, and my name is on it, and the vehicle particulars are on it?
Maybe it got stolen, and we just want to be sure that you're still the owner of your car.
You're playing devil's advocate. But it's not working. Anyway, the Permanent Secretary, Lagos State Ministry of Transportation, Abdul Hafiz Toriola, made the announcement at a press conference on Tuesday. The initiative is in accordance with the National Road Traffic Regulation 2012 as amended, number 101, volume 99, section 73/1, which states that there shall be proof of ownership certificate for all registered vehicles. And it also added that the Commission shall establish and maintain a central database for vehicles and drivers for the Federation. Actually, I was quoting. So that's what happened on Tuesday. So from today, you're required to go to, I don't know what agency it is, to pay your 1,000 naira and get your proof of ownership. Well, this particular pronouncement seems to be a bit controversial because people have been talking about other documents that they carry which show that they own the vehicles that they're driving. But then, what do I know? We have a panel this morning to look at this with us this morning, and it includes Mr. Kayode Okpeifa, Executive Director of the Center for Sustainable Mobility and Access Development, and former Commissioner for Transportation in Lagos State. This same Lagos State. Good morning, Mr. Okpeifa. I'm so happy to see you this morning.
Yeah, good morning. Happy Elder Kabir.
You're not as enthusiastic as I am.
Well, you're about to take 1,000 naira from
me? I'm not Lagos State. Mr. Olusegun Okunade, General Manager, Adroit Metering Services, is also with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning and happy new month.
Same to you, Baraka de Salah.
But please, Baraka de Ram. So let everyone know that this is the one that
you be specific.
Yes, that has a ram in it.
And a road safety consultant, Mr. Patrick Adenusi, joins us via Zoom. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Sister Lara. How are you? Good morning, Ayo, and good morning to my brothers.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. Sister Alera, thank you very much. What? Don't look at me. Let me begin by asking you this one. We, in our opening chat, we were saying, Mr. Dr. Okpeifa, that we didn't notice trucks on the road. Could that be the reason that there wasn't traffic? You also were shocked. You told me you've been up since about, what, 4 a.m. this morning? Afraid that you'll be locked in the traffic as well. And you got here too early for your comfort. And, of course, clearly, I don't know if you did notice, trucks on the road as well. And could that be the reason we were having horrible traffic?
No, it's just that probably you've not been that observant of public holidays like this, Christmas, and Eid al-Kabir. The port also closed down.
It wasn't public holiday yesterday, Friday.
Forget it. Yesterday, we are still in public holiday.
Still in the mood.
To be serious, you see these truckers, this is opportunity for them to go home and meet their family, I mean the drivers.
Okay.
And whenever you have this kind of Easter break, whatever, 2, 3, especially when the holiday is on a Wednesday, and the government has declared Thursday.
Wednesday and Thursday.
It's just like when the labor, declare strike on Wednesdays. And they know before you start to talk to them, it's already Friday. And all the people, all the workers will have gone home. So that's what makes strike successful when they declare. The same thing for public transportation. Drivers, they move from one place to the other. So this is the opportunity for them to spend at least 1 week at home. So it takes a while for them to get back to work.
Okay. Now, let us talk to the matter at hand, Mr. Kwaifa. 1,000 naira vehicle ownership verification certificate. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, this is what you call road tax.
Mr. Kwaifa, this is not road tax. Road tax is the one that you renew every year.
No, I will explain it to you.
Please do.
Like a proof of ownership certificate and driver, this
Vehicle
licensing,
license.
all these things, driver license, so many things around there are regarded as road taxes. And it's a veritable means for government to raise internal revenue to service road safety, road security, and any other thing that government, sometimes you get it used for education, health, and the rest. So there's nothing wrong in road taxes. The particular one we are talking of is already in existence. There's already a road tax, and I renew it. You renew it every year by renewing your vehicle license.
Okay.
That's the law. Then you also do your roadworthiness certificate because you have a car for which you have a proof of ownership.
Yes.
So for me, it cannot be a document that you renew on a yearly basis with the same title. It's to be renewed by the driver, by the vehicle license. When you renew your vehicle license, you automatically has gone back to government to say, I still own the vehicle, and the vehicle is still in service. If you still own the vehicle and the vehicle is no longer in service, I think there's a salvage document. There's another one you can go and collect. That will not exempt you from roadworthiness and all the other documentation. But if you look at I think maybe I should, no, let me go further. If you look at the statement, we have been told that there is low level of compliance and that we now want to have a more security, more whatever. All what they have, the press statement claimed to have discussed are currently on that document. And in terms of that document, it's also supposed to be a state matter. Road taxes of this nature are municipal matter, not national matter. However, if you check the existing certificate, you will see the Nigerian coat of arms on it. And you will see it side by side.
You have a copy here.
And you will see it side by side with the logo of the state. This was as agreed long time ago. This used to be a local government matter before.
Thank you.
Before it was shifted to become a state matter. Now, why you have both there is that there is supposed to be a database created at the national level because we have a federation kind of system where I can move from Lagos to Kano with the document I get from Lagos that is valid. So that is why it is national.
Yes.
And what that national means is that there is a database already.
Okay.
Kept by the Federal Road Safety Commission. It used to be kept by the police. But after the FRC was created, amendments came in, and FRC also has the authority to do that. So the database that is being referred to currently is in existence. I am aware.
So what you are saying, Dr. Ikwaifa, is that this thing is being duplicated.
I believe it's a duplication.
Okay.
To you,
Sir.
does it mean, could it be a communication problem? Or it's just, you know, one of those things that government does and they do it and you have to do it, you have to obey whether you like it or not? Could it be a communication problem?
This is not what we call communication problem. It's just what I would call laxity on the path of taking advantage of the masses. Buttressing the point that my senior colleague said, you ask yourself, what exactly does proof of ownership attain to? If you're saying that we will be renewing our proof of ownership as traceable to the vehicle, then annually we'll be paying renewable fee for our C of O, for our properties.
Every year.
Because what is attached to that is that you'll be paying tenement rates and other levies attached to maintaining that property. So for this, when I read what my peers said, talking about having a central database I asked myself, so the initial one for you that have your vehicle 10 years ago, several of us that have had a vehicle several years, where are we residing the database? If renewing it now, and don't forget, by the time you dispose of your vehicle to another party, it's obliged on that person to go back and have his own proof of ownership, discontinuing it from it. In fact, the last we heard from the state was that if you are disposing of your vehicle that you are no longer in use, don't give out the plate number because it's identifiable and traceable to you. So if I sell a vehicle to you and I'm no longer in use of it, what identified me with that vehicle is the plate number. I keep it to myself, either to attach to my new vehicle that I'm going to get another proof of ownership for, and the person I'm making the other sales to go back to the government and document the vehicle in possession of it. So when you are coming that we will start validating, I've asked several questions. The people in question I've tried, my friends out there, to actually understand the basis. And when I heard it was coming from the Joint Tax Board, I asked myself, the current administration is against multiplicity of taxes. And we are bringing that up. Alero, I have this to tell you that if you now own a car, don't forget that a few months back, we were all in that race of the insurance, increasing the cost of third party from 5,000 to 15,000.
Yes.
You have other vehicles, papers to renew. The cost of fueling is becoming unbearable. So it's to tell us that very soon there won't be vehicles on the road. And if you want to talk from the perspective of transport administration, that means we are killing the economy on its own.
Already there are fewer vehicles on the road, because I was saying at the beginning that I had a chat with the supervisor at a filling station, and he said to me that sales were down. The price is up, but they're making less money because fewer people are buying petrol.
Because everybody have resorted to getting a bicycle.
Sorry, before you, just one thing I want to add to what he said is that when you sell your car, you give this to the new owner. You sign at the back, transferring the ownership. So the person takes this to the motor vehicle administration.
And gets a change of ownership.
And there is a fee for that.
Yes.
Mr. Adenusi, this document here already says proof of ownership certificate. And we're being told to go and pay 1,000 naira and get proof of ownership certificate. So will that now carry proof of ownership certificate too? I don't understand. You already have one that says proof of ownership certificate.
Well, thank you very much, my sister. You know, when you hear and see some things happen in Nigeria, you think you have heard it all. I think what the government is about to do is to actually, on a yearly basis, start asking Ayo, Mr. Okwefa, and myself to also get ready to be paying renewal for our marriage certificates. Yeah, I mean, you see, it's unfortunate that the things that happens in and around Nigeria, they don't make sense in most climes. There's global best practices. I mean, I live in Nigeria and I also live in Singapore. In Singapore, they do not want, government does not really want people to have cars, so they impose heavy taxes. The cost of buying the vehicle is so out of this world, and the essence of it is to reduce the volume of vehicles in the country because they have excellent transport system.
Thank you.
From the underground trade to the overground, to the buses and so on and so forth. But here we are in Nigeria that the Joint Tax Board, which is comprising the revenue generation agencies of government, the internal revenue for each state and the federal government inland revenue, bringing in road safety and all these other bodies that generate income for the government. I don't even know what they were thinking to think of the fact that I need to prove ownership on a yearly basis that I own a vehicle that was registered and a proof of ownership was issued to me. The basis for the renewal is difficult to swallow by any reasonable or sensible person. But you know what? They want to make 1,000 naira. If the 1,000 naira that they are making was going to be judiciously used to create roads or rails in the air for Nigerians to begin to use, we will not only pay 1,000, we will pay much more than 1,000 naira.
So does that raise for you, Mr. Adenisi Patrick, does that, in any way suggest to you that we have a communication problem with this?
No, we don't have communication problem. Thoughtlessness is the beginning of great losses. We have thinking problem.
No, the reason I said that is this. Dr. Okwefa already told us the primary function of what he calls road taxes, and that even this proof of ownership thing, which already exists, is one of the road taxes. So that's why I'm asking, and you just said something now, which is what made me ask that question, that if government were trying to raise funds with this to make our infrastructure, road infrastructure, transport infrastructure better, expand them, further and make them more accessible and available to people, that, as a Nigerian, you're willing to pay more. That's why I'm asking if you think maybe we have along the line, because this already exists, maybe there's a communication problem.
The money that they are trying to collect is that they want to build rails in the air. This is not upgrading any infrastructure. It does. Look, there is no way you can explain it anywhere. You have the vehicle license, you have insurance, you have the roadworthiness. That is what you get everywhere in the world. So for some set of Nigerians to sit down and say that, okay, the car that you bought, whether even if it is 1 year or 1 week or 10 years old, that you need to be revalidating your ownership on a yearly basis. We're about entering a time wherein you'll be asked to pay 200 naira yearly for your primary school certificates to validate it. We are going to look. We're in for a lot of trouble on our plate. We are going to the point where you'll be advised that you have to pay 500 naira for your school certificate to validate it, and now you also need to show that your dad is your dad by paying 1,000 naira to verify that
Even that is
anyway. It doesn't make sense in any form.
In some quarters, even that is questionable, because these days certificates may not even be enough to prove that you are the father or the child of anyone. But you know, Dr. Opoifa, I'm going back to the communication part. Do you think, okay, because you know, one of the questions that I asked you off cam was, how many cars do we have in Nigeria? Or how many vehicles do we have in Nigeria? You put it on the average of 2 million in Lagos, and you said that's about 1/3 of the cars in Nigeria.
Or
1/4 of the vehicles in Nigeria. So let's take the upper level. That's 2 million times 4. So you're saying essentially we have about 8 million vehicles in Nigeria altogether. Multiply that by 1,000. How much is that? What could that kind of money be used for on an annual basis?
20 billion maximum.
Sorry?
Why?
How much is that?
I think that's a good place to start. Let me say that just to put Mr. Patrick in perspective and a little bit of digression, you can revalidate your proof of ownership. That already is in existence.
Which you do
through
with
your
vehicle license, which you renew every year.
So that somebody doesn't come and say, we are only saying come and... The vehicle license already revalidates...
Which you use.
This one.
Yeah.
The one you stick on your vehicle.
This one. This one.
No, don't worry, we will not show you.
We're not zooming on it.
so
just to let them know what document we're talking about.
Now, in other climes, what they could do, you can also put additional tax on the plate number. You see, your proof of ownership guarantees you a plate number. That plate number, you use this renewal to renew all together. And other jurisdiction will put a small sticker on your plate number annually. That could be local government tax. There are so many creative ways. When I presented a paper to them in Delta State, I think that was 2015, when Governor Okowa first came in. We are looking at what they need to do to. There are still close to 100 different ways
to raise money.
Taxes to raise money.
Without duplicating.
That's one. Number two, I also served in Abuja as the mandate secretary. And I gave them about 26 different ways within the road tax platform to raise money without changing what they have. It's just on their existing database. This morning, I got a text from Autoreg telling me that my vehicle has just been renewed. That system existed in Lagos State since 2006. Lagos State has a database. I am aware FCT has a database. Now, from that database, we did a projection of vehicles registered on an annual basis, that is newly registered and renewal through vehicle license. Then you put a factor to it for those who did not show up. Now, if you go to the Lagos data, if I'm still correct, I don't think they will find more than 1.5 million vehicles on the database in Lagos as of today.
Why is that?
I still follow what is going on. Now, this number has been hovering between 1.2 to 1.5 since 2007. You know, it's the same all over the world. So when you are during election year, the year after election year, the number of new vehicles increases. But it's not going to be for 2023 because there was that cash stuff.
Yeah.
So there was, after election, there is free flow of money. So we notice that every 4 years, this number changes up. It increases. Because there is much more money inside. So when the economy is also good, the number of new vehicles at the port releases this data annually. You will see that the number you get from, if you take their data, you see that it's every 4 years or when there is a boom. If we have the new wage increase now, immediately after the new wage increase, the next number will go up. So what we say it is a 1 point around, I just put the 500. I developed a model then that we are using in Lagos to project revenue and project compliance and enforcement principles. Now, there was a time when we were calculating what amount of fuel is being used in Nigeria. I was also involved with them at the Ministry of Petroleum. When they were saying this is 50 million, I said, no, it can't be more than 40 million. Because if I use the number of vehicles in Lagos, and I assume household use of petrol comes from small generators. That should also be in Lagos and Kano because of the population. We did a projection then for the ministry, and we came to 40 million. Minus the smuggling. If you add smuggling, maybe 50 million, whatever. So on what we are saying on this case, in this case, is that you will not raise any appreciation. I'll put it at, assuming it is 10 million vehicles, all you will get is 10 billion naira, if my mathematics is correct. Assuming it is 20 million vehicles, what you will get is, and guess that 20 billion is going to be shared by the state, the federal,
and the
local, then some other whatever. Then each state will now share. So no state will get up to 5 billion.
Oh dear.
But to some states like Lagos and Abuja, FCT, it will be a lot of money because they have more vehicles than other states. Now, what I'm suspecting is this. There is a problem with the database. Maybe we are not capturing vehicles after paying for their first payment. They don't come back. If that is the problem, then we need to, that is not new. I was party to many of these developments from 2007 to 2019. And the best time we developed this was between 2005, during the period of Ashwaju in Lagos, and 2010. And there was a big fight between Lagos and the federal government on who should control what. And the federal government then, under Yaradua, concluded that this matter is a state matter. However, for security reasons, because of the different levels of the state, and this document will be valid when you cross one state to the other, let's make a national database out of it and call it unified. That's why the driver license is called Unified National Driver License. Otherwise, each state is backed by the law to do his own thing. So what we are seeing here, what I'm seeing, I'm still interrogating. And I've told the people I could talk to, what we need to do is not to introduce a new proof of ownership and make some people billionaires in the name of consultants. What we need to do is to go back to the database of the Federal Road Safety Corporation that was created for the country from the money they collect, that is FRC. From each of these payments you pay, there is an amount that goes to the Federal Road Safety Corp because they produce the plate numbers, except for Lagos. And don't also forget, Osun State went to court on this matter. Some of us had to persuade them to go out of court so that we can keep the security aspect of this documentation intact. Also wanted to produce his own document. So what I'm suspecting and the way to go is for whoever. I mean, I think I should speak to the government, the new government. This document is coming from the past administration. It's a carryover. This government should just ask them to shut it down. For the meanwhile. Allow people who know about the history of how we came about all this documentation to sit down and advise the Joint Tax Board. They've always made mistakes. They have always made mistakes. You know, there was a time they wanted to charge 15,000 for plate number when we changed from the local government in front, the variation in front to local government in front. And they came out with the amount of, is it 15 or 12,000? And after the Senate hearing, it came down to 10,000. Lagos State government then was about to do it at 7,005 because Lagos was producing its own. So what I'm saying is we can raise money. It's good to raise money. It's good to, but you should not raise money in a way that is not too legal. I don't want to say illegal because these things are backed by law. If there is no law that says this thing should be annually renewed through another proof, then it's illegal.
Well, we'll be having a bit of, sorry, Alera, we'll be having some kind of reactions from someone who, well, you talked about consultants who will be, speaking with one of them just to have some perspectives about this. But he wanted to ask
Mr. Kwade, the PAMSEC said that this will help vehicle owners and the government to guarantee the integrity of all vehicles registered. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how a proof of ownership is going to guarantee the integrity of my vehicle.
Then the
Maybe
question,
you can explain that to us.
The question I'll put back, where is the MOT that we have? I think that is what roadworthiness. That's the only thing that can prove the guarantee.
The
integrity of your vehicle.
I think it's not the integrity of the database.
Then
I'll go back to you, sir.
Integrity of all vehicles registered on the National Vehicle and Identification Scheme.
So if it's the database,
I keep saying that we have a communication problem. Because clearly now, I mean, integrity of my vehicle sounds like you're telling me that my vehicle itself is having
He's on his last legs.
No, but if I'll go in line with what Dr. Pefa said, there exists a database.
Yes.
Something must have happened midway. There are times the professional hackers might do what they know how to do best and beat your database. But it is not the masses you will be calling over to come and suffer for that, because there's a lacuna that you allow the hackers to do. I'm just saying that in court. Because for I remember those days, aside this proof of ownership, you must still go to the police and get something, they get ECMR. Is it ECMR? There's a document, because there was a particular year.
Central Motor Register.
Yeah, okay, CMR.
It's CMR.
CMR. That thing actually delayed.
Police is planning to bring that up now as ECMR, and we are reading in the paper 5,000 naira, and which already is included in the payment.
Because I remember there was a specific year.
Sorry. We have just been slapped with removal of fuel subsidy. We're buying petrol at 500-600 naira a litre, which has resulted in many people parking their cars. Minimum wage is still 30,000 naira, even though it's been looked at so that Nigerians will have a living wage. But we're then being slapped by taxes here and taxes there on this same 30,000 naira minimum wage on Nigerians who cannot afford to feed properly because prices of everything in the market have soared. They can't afford to transport themselves from one point to the other. From one traffic light to the second traffic light in Lekki costs about 500 naira, 900 naira. And you're slapping us with more taxes. Nigerians are beginning to feel that our leaders don't have our interest at heart. They want to kill us. Mr. Adenusi, are you there?
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad that we're where we are. Just like Dr. Pefa was saying a few minutes ago, that the average number of vehicles, the estimated number of vehicles.
Okay.
Mr. Adenusi.
Well, we'll certainly have him back because I'm pretty sure that our engineers are already dealing with that. But it'll be good to really have his feedback on that one, because in the first place he was disagreeing with you, Mr. Okwade, on one or two things that you were raising the other time. But you see, perhaps by way of perspectives, I don't know if it is time for us to speak with Mr. Femi Aderemi. If we can speak with him now, kindly let us know, because we're told that he's motor vehicle admin consultant. Mr. Aderemi, are you there with us?
I'm here.
Okay, good. So you want to help us understand what's going on here. A number of people are wondering, as Alera has said, we're being slapped left, right, and center. And guess what? We understand that there are some other bills that are still building up. E.g., the one that Dr. Pefa just talked about, 95,000 naira, CMR, whatever. Help us understand what's going on with this current one.
Actually, the function of proof of ownership is actually road safety has that function to carry out. It's on the National Road Traffic Regulation. Although we know that motor vehicle administration is a residual issue, which is state. But let's take Lagos State and Abuja out of it. What about the other states? Now, the issue at hand is centralization of data. Stolen vehicle is taken from one state and taken to another state, and it's registered and is being used. Nobody has those data. The data road safety has is static. Once a car is bought and plate number is issued, they get proof of ownership. Afterwards, nobody knows what happened to that car. Cars are taken from Lagos, from Abuja, and they take to other states. I don't want to mention states, and registered. There's another aspect of it, security issue. There's no crime committed that motor vehicle is not involved in. Nobody kidnaps anybody and uses leg, or they use one form of transportation. Now, the data we have is static. It is not dynamic. That means this data, all the time, a vehicle is bought, a vehicle that is bought 20 years ago, road safety has the data that is bought 20 years ago. Now, where is the vehicle? Who drives the vehicle? Where is it played? What's it called? What I can agree with is this. Maybe there's problem with communication. Maybe there's problem with, like Dr. Kwefa said, there are various ways to raise revenue from motor vehicle. Maybe what they call it might not be the actual thing to call it. Maybe they should have called it something else. But then, if we're serious, data in Nigeria needs to be dynamic. The other gentleman, Mr. Dennis, said in Singapore, they know the number of trees. Now, the panel sitting down, they can only estimate. We can't be working with estimation. A vehicle is not an arbitrary thing. It's a concrete thing that we can count. So how come we continue to estimate?
But are you aware, Mr. Aderemi, that Dr. Kayode Okwefa is a former Commissioner of Transportation in Lagos, and so when he says he estimates, and he also worked with the, in Abuja, with the presidency or some of these things. So you don't think that his expertise is of significance, even if it is an estimate?
I respect, and he's a senior colleague, and I always honor to listen to him and his knowledge. No, what I'm saying is this. He's giving estimates in both Abuja and Lagos. There's, let's say, 36 states plus FCT, which is 37. What about the other states?
Don't also forget, I'm sorry to, seem to be putting you on the spot on this, but don't also forget that while working in Abuja, he wasn't working for Abuja State. He was working for the presidency with the federal government, which means he was working with the 36 states. So let me ask you straight up on this one, since you have already, raised issues around what happens in various states. Isn't it an indictment on the federal government and the states that the collaboration is so poor that the federal government is unable to, harness resources and harness data from the various states? Or are we to say that the states are giving fake data to the federal government?
I cannot lay blame on the states or the federal government. Actually, at the moment, what is happening is that the data is not centralized.
It is centralized.
And because the data is not centralized and it's not dynamic...
When you say it's not centralized, just a second, when you say it's not centralized, what do you mean by that?
Okay, your colleague head of vehicle license. I don't know the state the vehicle license comes from. But if you take that vehicle license and you move from the state and move to another state, you cannot verify it. Yeah, from Lagos. If you move that vehicle license, if you go to a state like Gombe, you can't verify that document. So if that document is faked and they take it to that state, and let's say a car is stolen and they fake that document and they get to Gombe, automatically they can resell it.
Okay, quick response from Dr. Okwefa on that.
So I think for some of us, with due respect to you, some of those statements looks like an insulting the efforts that has been made since 2006 to 2010 to perfect a national. We have a national database in Nigeria. Even during the height of this,
but he said it's not unified.
It is not. It is dynamic. He said it is static. I'm saying it is dynamic. Because I know, even when there were bombings of all over Nigeria, there was who are confirming whose vehicles they were. I know, because I was involved. Now, what he's saying correctly, and which I already alluded to, is that some states may not be doing the right thing. Do you punish me for them? No. Is it the right thing to bring up an annual renewal for? No. Because it will end up the same way. The person to blame, if there is a blame, is the Federal Road Safety Corporation. They have the responsibility to keep the national database of a driver license. They have the responsibility to keep the national database of a motor vehicle. That is why every state submits its vehicle registrations to the LIRS in Lagos, to whichever is the Board of Internal Revenue in the state, and everybody also submits to FRSA. Now, if they are not submitting, I don't need a new technology to do that. My database has been built. The one in Lagos has not changed since 2006 or 7.
Okay.
They're still using it and it's working. So what he needs to know, and anybody who are the ones advising, is that there is history to this thing. It is proof. It is protected.
Okay.
FRSC sells plate number to almost all the states. So with your plate number comes a proof of ownership. So they should review the process of their selling.
All right, Mr. Dennis Patrick, you wanted to say a thing or two the other time. I don't know if it's something that has been eroded with time in this conversation. We're running out of time, but go ahead and make your point.
Yeah, it's not. Dr. Kwefa said that plus or minus, let's say we have 8 million vehicles. Let me even increase it to 10 million vehicles. If the proposed 1,000 naira is collected on 10 million vehicles, that will give you 10 billion naira. But let me give you a figure that will astound you. I've said it on Channels TV before. Now, the government is actually very wasteful, and the citizens celebrate the wastefulness, and all of us are co-wasters. What do I mean? If 100,000 vehicles out of the 1.5 million in Lagos is caught in the kind of traffic that you see on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, where we convert 3 lanes to 5, 6, 7 lanes, and we cannot make progress. If 100,000 vehicles in Lagos alone, morning and evening, the traffic that we create expends 1,000 naira fuel above what we should have expended for the day for journeys, both to and fro our offices or wherever we go, we have wasted 10 million naira.
Essentially,
and
you are
if you
saying
multiply that by 5.
Yes.
That's 50 million.
Essentially, you are saying that we need to do some rethinking here, Mr. Dennis Patrick. But
absolutely. But let me just quickly drop this somewhere.
Okay.
Now, the set amount of money that government is thinking that they want to raise with the proposed 1,000 naira per vehicle every year does not fit into anything. So to begin to strangulate the citizenry and make us look like as if we still, Nigeria in 2023 is in the stone age of 1401, it's shocking.
Okay, Mr. Aderemi.
I think they should stop it, and they shouldn't even think of it.
Well, Mr.
That
Aderemi,
will be your last word, Mr. Adenusi.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Aderemi, your last thoughts as well, but factor this in, Mr. Femi Aderemi. For most vehicles that travel interstate, they have to pay levies between 20 and 60 tickets they get, depending on how many states you cross. Are these figures or levies also from one local government to the other also factored into this? And along the same line, answer the question whether or not this is a revenue-raising venture, or it's just something that maybe someone just came up with?
Thank you very much, sir. We need to look at it in this perspective. It costs, they're charging 1,000. Now, if we have an accurate database, how come vehicles are being stolen and then registered in another state? There's a vehicle just got stolen in Rivers State 2 days ago, and then we're still trying to find a way to trace this vehicle. How come vehicles are being used one chance, what you call it, and we can't even trace who?
You didn't answer the question. That question, the question you are asking, my apologies, Mr. Aderemi, just a second. You didn't answer that question. I asked you that question the other time, that there seems to be a lacuna, a gap between collaboration between the federal and state governments in terms of this issue that you're raising. Because if these things were happening, the federal government and the states ought to have collaborated a long time ago.
That is why JTB came together, because they represent the 36 states plus FCT, and decide what we do about these issues.
Okay.
So how do we make the data that we're collecting vibrant? Now, we're talking about levy. The problem we are having is we don't have a national road transport policy, which is supposed to be signed, which is still in the process to be signed. There has to be coordination among the states, even in terms of all this levies being collected at all intervals.
Well, it's quite a long road, Mr. Adiremi. I'm pretty sure that the consultants and the federal and state governments have their work cut out for them. Your last words, Mr.
Yeah, well, I would say no to this policy, if you give me the way. Both the states and the federal should look at way of harmonizing their database, not at the expense of the citizen. Currently, speaking on the part of the citizen, there is hardship in the land. If you go this route, you have lesser vehicles on the road, which would definitely impact on the growth and the development of the nation.
Yeah, that's what
closing, let me just say, I'm going to request that the new government, the current government in Nigeria, should put a stop to this policy. The National Assembly should call for a public hearing on this matter, and the Joint Task Force should revisit the information at their disposal. It's like they are not well informed of what is on ground. And then, in conclusion, let me say, if you limit the capacity of Nigerians to drive, you will increase poverty. If you reduce mobility, my ability to move freely at my own convenience, you make me poorer. So this business is not going to give money to any other state than Lagos and FCT, who has majority of the vehicles. But to say that when vehicles are stolen, we cannot track is also not correct. We have only, what is happening now or before is that the FRC is not making the database freely available to the states on demand, which the states have a right to know. States are also not making their database of what they have done available to FRC.
You are saying
that is what is missing.
We have a collaboration
So the National Council on Transportation, through the Federal Ministry of Transportation, should step in, not the Joint Tax Board.
Okay. Mr. Adenusi Patrick, I understand you want to have a quick one. 30 seconds.
Yeah. Well, just like everyone who said, Nigeria and my country, I must do better for her, was a jingle that ran on Nigerian radio station for many years, and that built patriotism in each and every majority of us that are actually my age. But I want to also draw the line to say that because stealing is also coming on many roads, we'll be punishing the citizenry, we'll be increasing hardship in the land, and just like Dr. Okwefa said, I think it should be a very full stop should be brought to it. This does not even need National Assembly intervention. It does not make sense. It's against global best practices.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patrick Adenusi. So if government wants us to park our cars and use public transport, they have to do the work and provide the public transport for us. Because right now, with the cost of fuel where it is, many Nigerians do not want to drive their cars.
Absolutely.
They are driving the cars because they have no option. Give us good public transportation. Ministers ride on buses when they go to the UK. We want to all be able to ride in buses and on trains in our country. Thank you. We had Mr. Patrick Adenusi, road safety consultant, who joined us via Zoom, as well as Mr. Femi Adireme, motor vehicle admin consultant, who also joined us via Zoom. And we had in the studio Dr. Kayode Okwefa, executive director of the Center of Sustainable Mobility and Access Development, and Mr. Olusegun Okwadi, general manager, Adroit Metering Services, Nigeria. Thank you all for coming, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
And giving us a vibrant discussion on the issue. And your conclusion, all of you, was, government, please have a rethink and shelve this. You are impoverishing Nigerians.
I'm not sure that Mr. Adiremi agrees with you. We'll be back. We'll be back after this conversation. After this break, please stay with us.